Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Elephant in the Room. How are you, Taranjeet?
I'm very well, Muihan. It's coming into the end of the week. We've had a sterling journey thus far
Yeah,
over the last couple of days. Excellent discussion yesterday with the two young graduands.
yep.
So
Amazing, amazing.
absolutely. How did you find it yesterday, Muihan?
I think it was one of the, I think, very well received, and I really can't thank enough all our viewers, our friends, our supporters. They were really, I think, from start to finish, they were really giving their inputs to our two
Absolutely.
young graduates, and I think both of them, we have been talking to them just to let you know. The rest of you, thank you very much for all your inputs. They really appreciate it. We were hoping for more graduates to join us, or fresh graduates to join us, but we have a few, but we thought we could do more. But nevertheless, I think the feedback is so positive. We may do this again some other time in the future, because I think there are many more bright individuals out there that we wanted to maybe just highlight and showcase them. And I think this platform is really good for that.
Absolutely. So let's start today's session. It is a fantastic opportunity to continue this discussion with the graduates and fresh graduates that are coming out. And today, on this exciting series, we have great delight in having Meiram Zhardayev and Laura Vaigorova joining us all the way from Astana, out in Kazakhstan. A little bit about Meiram. He is heavily focused on sports, having completed the Ironman not once but twice. Now that's a quite a decent feat, and he's a 5-time full marathon runner. I do running as well, but only half the marathons. Now this guy is a full runner there. He's proficient in several languages: Russian and Kazakh, obviously, Turkish and English, which is nice. And he commenced his degree in chemistry out at Nazarbayev University, which is a premier university in Astana. And he then took some time off, and is now co-founded and managing Smart Test Prep, which is an education center focused on providing specialized program to complement learnings of high school and university students alike. So that's a little bit about Meiram. And with Laura, she's also a graduate from the Nazarbayev University. She's currently completing her master's in public policy as a second degree, and her first degree was in world languages, literature, and linguistics. And she is very proficient in several languages, not surprising: Spanish and French, Russian, Kazakh, and English. Laura is certainly multilingual. Now, with that in mind, we would like to invite both Laura and Meiram to Elephant in the Room.
Hello,
Hello.
welcome.
Hi. How are you doing?
We are good. We are good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for making time. I know it's midway through the afternoon over where you are. And so thanks a lot for that. Let us start off very quickly. And I'm going to ask both of you. You can decide who would like to answer this. But the first question would be, like everything that we have, what does the landscape, the working landscape, look like for students graduating this year from Kazakhstan and the Kazakhstan universities?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question, Taranjeet. I think I can take that. Well, first of all, I would like to know that the landscape is changing nonstop because certain jobs are going away, certain jobs are appearing. So there are a lot of retraining programs for our students, for our graduates, and usually people who have degrees, let's say in jurisdiction, in law, they have trouble finding jobs. Which is why our government provided certain retraining programs, and the gig economy is growing, obviously. So many graduates, they decide to become their own contractors or freelance employers, so they find jobs so that their schedules are flexible and free. So this is basically how the landscape looks like. But given the COVID, it's also scary because a lot of jobs were closed, a lot of programs were closed. So now the tactic, the strategy of our graduates must be absolutely different. So they have
to... that's interesting. Now, before we go any further, I understand that you've just graduated today. You got your grades today, Laura.
That's true.
Congratulations from us in Elephant in the Room. Well done. And we're absolutely delighted to hear this, Laura. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's move along a little bit. And I like to talk a little bit about the internship. We have internship programs for those who are in their final year. And those internship programs are important because it gives a level of practicalities to these students before they come out into the working life. Now, you've got final year students taking place right now. We've got COVID-19, social distancing, and all this sort of stuff playing out. How has that impacted these internship programs, and what are some of the things that are being done differently by employers over there in Kazakhstan?
That's a very good question. Well, it's not only in Kazakhstan, I think, but in the whole world that there are, I think, even more internship opportunities these days because you can actually undertake those online, remotely. So this gives you an advantage. I myself am applying to multiple internships currently, and they do not require your physical presence. And it's not just, local companies. That could be very famous NGOs, international organizations. So they're seeking interns right now. In various fields. So I think that's a benefit of COVID because previously it was really hard to get into, let's say, UN or UNDP. And now it is, let's say, a little bit easier because you can just apply and you're there remotely, but you are there. And this is good for your CV.
Cool. So I think this is also a recurring theme, and I don't know whether you have watched our previous show because we also been talking to different folks everywhere, and I think we are quite split on COVID. Half of us really say there is a doom and gloom because of COVID. The other half is say yes, this is the start of a lot of new opportunities and as well as a different way of doing things. And thank you for reaffirming that in that sense that because of virtual internships are now freely or more available in that sense because it's the way to go. And I think the good thing about virtual internship is then it's able to cut borders and you can just do trans-border internship compared to the more traditional one. Then there's a lot of requirements of visa as well as working permit and pass and so on and so forth. All right. So I just want to quickly just come back to our audience. So those who have just joined us, welcome to Elephant in the Room. Today we have two very special guests from Astana, Kazakhstan, both Laura and Meiram, to join us. They are both young graduates who have coming out, as well as we wanted to tap on their brains, as well as to understand what is happening in Central Asia, particularly in Kazakhstan. So a quick shout out to all the people who have just tuned before I go back to my next question. So first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. KJ, welcome to see you. Dr. Mike, hi. Ted Mui, my good brother, great to see you. We have Call from Ipoh, hi. And also Ben, all right. Thanks for all of you for your support. Okay, so maybe I would just like to check with maybe Meiram can share in your perspective. With all these challenges, what would be, in terms of students per se, what would be the 2 or 3 top challenges that you all are facing in Kazakhstan at the moment, especially as a student in that sense?
Okay, thank you for your question, and thank you for inviting us again. The very good question. So there are a lot of challenges now because of the COVID, and the fresh graduates like us are seeking a job, and like it's as Laura said, it's now difficult to find a job at the place. So more jobs are going online. So Yeah, most graduates now need to work hard and search harder for a job, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
So in that sense, has maybe also just to compare notes, what has the maybe government done to support you all? Is there any specialized programs, or are they working with the business owners to maybe just to accelerate this? Anything that's happening, maybe that you can share with us, so that at least we know what different countries are doing with their fresh graduates or young graduates in that sense.
Yeah, maybe I can go with this question. There are many programs, well, not many, but there are several. There is one called Jumas Bar, which literally translates from Kazakh as there is a job. So this is a program designed for not only for graduates, but for all the people. It offers retraining in jobs, well, mostly manual jobs, but there are also, more professional jobs like consultants or, assistants, personal assistants. Also manual jobs, like I said. So this program, I think it's free. You just need to apply and participate. So this is for those who have degrees but cannot find employment, or those who don't have any degrees and want to find employment. And currently, the government is planning on launching the program for fresh graduates, but at the moment there are no particular programs that would tackle graduates. So this makes it a little bit difficult because, like Meiram said, vacancies are closing, and I think for Kazakhs who are not proficient in English, this is a little more problematic than compared to us, because given the fact that they have no knowledge of English or any other international languages, they cannot find employment anywhere else. So they have to wait or come up with their own ideas on how to promote their products or the startups or businesses. So this is the major challenge. And there are a lot of people who do not know English. So
okay. And this is great, Laura. Allow me to now move the discussion a little bit around what you guys are doing, and I am absolutely intrigued. And I was talking to Muihan about this. You are running your own business, your co-founders, even before you graduated from university. And Meiram has actually opted to take a gap time off to do this business. So I'm actually very intrigued. What encouraged you, or what possessed you? What drove you to take this decision?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a very nice question, I think. Well, first of all, financial independence. Well, both of us being enrolled in a university studies, we were thinking on how to make it possible to be independent of our parents, because I come from a very simple family. My mom is a single mom, my dad passed away. Meiram has 2 siblings, so he also has to take care of them. And we've come up with this idea because it just came along. Because we had the ability and skills, but we were fearing it because we were like, we're not graduates yet, and we don't have, the certification. We're not Princeton Review or something. How can we do this? And then people would just come by and ask for our services, for tutoring services, to help them revise their motivational letter, or help them with their SAT subject prep or something. So that's how it all came together. And in 2018 we decided to actually make it an official tutoring service center, educational center, where we could train for those exams. But now we're trying to expand it, because we're not only offering services to high school students, but also to students enrolled in undergrad programs, those who are willing to pursue degrees overseas. And I hope since July or June, maybe the end of June, we will launch new programs for secondary school students, because we see that it is very important for them to have, let's say, more global education, the grasp of feeling themselves as global citizens, because schools in Kazakhstan, they lack that. And students coming out of public schools, they're very shy. They cannot hold a conversation. They don't know anything about education abroad, even though there are so many programs for Kazakhstani students. Because for developing countries, there are many scholarships, many, fees covered by the foreign universities. So we're trying to embrace that and make students believe that there are opportunities for them. So before we started our school, I went to a village like where I used to study before, like in my primary school, and I gave a presentation there. And it was so inspirational that those students from the village, they actually got inspired and they text me until today. So they plan on studying in Turkey. They're applying to NU. And this is, this is very inspiring. So this basically prompted us, and I am a humanities person, so I teach, languages, verbal parts of the exams and stuff, and Meiram, he's a hard sciences guy, so he is very brilliant in chemistry and biology and math and all that. So yeah, that's how it all started. So this is our duo.
Very good, very good. And that is actually very inspiring, because many times our students here, when we get into the routine, we don't think out of the box. It's always, let me just continue with today without really thinking about tomorrow. And this is really inspiring. Now, it begs the second question on this particular segment, or this particular area. And the second question is, what were some of the challenges that you had as fresh graduate? And you're not even graduated yet. For you to start a business of this nature, to make it formal, and it's not easy. Setting up a business is not easy, and you are now entrepreneurs on your first day of graduation, if you know what I mean, which is absolutely brilliant. So what were the one or two challenges that you had when you were looking at starting this up as fresh students coming out of the university?
Mm-hmm. Can you start?
Okay.
Yes, Meiram. Yes, Meiram.
One of the biggest challenges were the lack of knowledge of the laws in Kazakhstan here, how to launch a business. So we were like increasing our knowledge, and we searched the laws and how to launch a business. So that is one of the challenges. The second one,
I can. I want to add to that. Well, the second one, in my opinion, I think, is building trust. Because we already had people who knew us and who wanted to study with us, right? But there are also a great amount of people who are very conservative and who believe that teachers must be, old, plump ladies with 40 years of experience. And some of the parents were this age, and they looked at us and they're like, "Are you school students? Like, do you really provide such kind of services that you can, consult us on education abroad?" This was one of the challenges. And the second one, like also the trust issue, was our employees, like with the teachers that we hire now that teach other subjects. It was also difficult to motivate them, because for many students, for many like our tutors, it was a matter of motivation. So it's just a part-time job for them. And it was very difficult to find this very group of people who would pursue the same goals as we do, who would believe that it's not just an education center. It's giving people something valuable so that they can, make something out of it. And now we have a team. I'm very grateful for that we finally found people who pursue the same goals and who are actually willing to give back, who are actually not working for money, but for the results of the students, for their improvement. And this is very encouraging right now. But previously it was horrible. It was so terrible. Meiram knows it. Like doing those interviews, finding teachers who didn't satisfy us, getting disappointed. But now we have a little bit more of an experience. And yeah, that was very, very challenging.
That's quite a bit of journey for all entrepreneurs, and glad that both of you start young, because the more you experience it, then the wiser you become. And I could really empathize that. I think any one of us who have gone through the entrepreneurship journey, started our journey, we are always in the dark, and we make a lot of mistakes, quote unquote. Sometimes we get cheated as well, and that's how we learn. Yeah, right. So I just wanted to also continue to just maybe acknowledge some of our audiences who have just tuned in. So we have Ranjit again. Hi Ranjit, welcome back. Nice to see you. My good friend Gateway, all the way from Perth. Thank you for tuning in. Also we have Jessie. Jessie, hi. Thank you for tuning in. And I think there's somebody from Kazakh, if could be your friend.
Yeah, she's
okay. Hi. Thank you for tuning in. So maybe with that, I just wanted to know maybe two things. Before I come to the question, also maybe I just wanted to get the audience to also do this for us, and also, while yesterday was a very special edition, I think today the slant is not too much different. Since both Laura and Meiram are also very young and new, any of the experienced business owners out there, and if you have a word of advice for our two young friends, feel free to put it in the comment section, and we will have a good discussion over it as well. And if you do have any questions, also please just highlight that as well. So I have a question. Since you say you have started and built an actual company rather than just both of you running, maybe you can give us some perspective of how big is your team, and how many students are you looking currently or working with, and things like that. What are some numbers you can share?
So yeah, currently we have around 15 to 20 teachers who are mostly now working online. Not mostly, but fully working online now. And we have around 30 to 40 students now, like learning and working with our teachers. So yeah.
But usually I think the numbers would be higher when we run offline classes, because I think some people, like here, local people, are still afraid of, doing things online, which is why they refuse from, like, they text that they're like, we can wait until June and start preparation in June when you'll have offline classes. And we're like, but it's the same. It's even cheaper.
Can I say this? I am absolutely impressed with the both of you to have this business running at the age that you are in, coming out of university that you are in, even before you ended your university career. The fact that you are now an employer in your own right, in my mind, and I think I speak for Muihan, is absolutely brilliant. And I can only say one thing. I'm really impressed. You have people who have been at it for a long time and they're struggling, and you have started this as long as you've got it right, and which is why I think it's interesting to see what comments can be derived from our entrepreneurs from here as they provide you with some feedback. We got Dr. Michael Hing coming in from Singapore, and he asked a very nice question. How can we help you from this part of the world? So you know what, guys? You already have a possible extension into Singapore. Forget about through the Lee Kuan Yew University of Public Policy. This is directly with the people themselves. So, and this is what this is all about. This whole cross-border stuff. The other thing that that I would like, and we're cognizant of time. We are in the last couple of minutes. If I were to ask you, both of you, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you could give advice to students who are coming out of university this year? What would it be?
So I could say learn non-stop, work hard, and dream big.
That's a very good advice. I would add to that, learn non-stop is a must, because things are changing. Given the AI opportunities, jobs are disappearing. So you have to learn and stop and be versatile. If you are an English language teacher, you don't have to be just, a teacher. You can expand your knowledge and be able to do something else, because you never know what happens. COVID is a clear example of how we should be versatile and act on different fronts and believe in yourself. This is very important, because I am a perfectionist and I'm always like, this is not good enough. I will start later when I perfect it. And this is not the right approach. You learn along the way. You just start and then things will, come along.
Absolutely. Well, tak. Dabai, this is good. Thank you very much. Spasiba Bolshoi. It is absolutely brilliant to have you guys on the program. Muihan, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Great, great. So maybe we will see both of you in a short while we maybe do a bit of announcement as well as to digest. Don't leave us, this be back, right? So quick one, Taranjeet, maybe you can also pick up few things that we have heard from our two young friends, as well as we also want to invite from the rest of our audience to give some inputs.
Of course. So I think what I've seen here over these last couple of days is some clarity of commonality of challenges that students are facing, especially graduate students coming out into the workforce. It's not different. What there is a fundamental difference here may well be around the opportunity for things that they're wanting to do on their own. The ability or the entrepreneur spirit, we call it. And I think from my own experience in Astana, I was there for several years with my family, there is a desire to want to do better. And that's predominantly Kazakh as a whole, and that's the Kazakhstani people as a whole, which is great. There's a hunger for a betterment of the society. There's a hunger for betterment of the individual. And we now see that playing out at a university level. The thing that also comes out to me is the ability now to, yes, it is, there is an overwhelming expectation, because you're talking about legalities and you're talking about all of this when you're setting up. And it's a lot easier here. Setting up a company is a lot easier in Malaysia or Singapore or this part of the world than it is in that part of the world, simply because of the restrictions that the authorities have placed, quite rightly so too, given where the legacy of that environment is. So the other thing, the last thing that comes across is also the desire to want to do better. I like Laura's point around constantly moving the needle. We are not satisfied with just the status quo. And what really fascinates me is you've graduated very recently and you already have 30 people, 20 people on the payroll. Absolutely brilliant. Muihan?
So I think that's one good maybe lessons, and for all those fresh graduates, or maybe not fresh graduates, more, I think this is more applicable for those undergraduates. So if you are a third-year student, second-year student tuning in, I think one idea to suggest to you is you may be lucky in the sense that you don't get COVID like your seniors do, but you don't know there's a COVID-20 or COVID-21 or could be something else. So maybe don't just sit back and watch and think that things are going to turn out fine. Why don't you take things into your own hands, or at this juncture? And if there's enough opportunity, why not embark on it while you're still in university? So in the event that when you graduate and you can't really get a job, or there's a very challenging time, at least you got something to fall back to in that sense. So I would really encourage, especially those in their second year, maybe third year, still can, but tougher. But the second years, why not? No, don't sit back and do your normal student thing, because the times have changed in that sense. And we got two very young role models here, all the way from Central Asia, to show us that you don't need to wait until you graduate to figure out that you need this, right? So that is what I was gathering, and I thought That was brilliant. So maybe I wanted to do this before I bring our two friends back, just to wrap everything up. I wanted to share our program tomorrow. And tomorrow we are very, very fortunate to actually have with us Nina Yassin. Nina Yassin is currently the Director of Human Capital for Ekuiti Nasional Berhad. Just some clarification, or the short form is EKUINAS. So EKUINAS is our national private equity, owned by the government, which is looking into actually investing into Malaysian companies to make it more sustainable and as well more professionally run. With that, I think Nina has a very big portfolio of investee companies that hires significantly amount of people, as well as most of these investee company, correct me if I'm wrong, Taranjeet, are usually on the larger SMEs. They are still SMEs, but on the larger, medium-sized one. And maybe you want to say something about our tomorrow show?
Well, absolutely. So thank you. And I'm going to close it with that. So it's interesting to see now where the employers are coming from. And it's absolutely brilliant to have Nina on board, because she's looking at it at a wider angle, given the portfolio of companies that is under the stable of EKUINAS. And it is actually going to be very intriguing to hear her thoughts as to how different the disruption has made the environment, where it was, and we're not talking about just COVID, we're actually talking pre-COVID as well. And it'll be very interesting to hear her thoughts about how this change has transformed the entire working environment, but more importantly, the perceptions of students. And as they're coming out of the work front, into the work front, what does that now mean for employers? And that's where she's coming from. Wihan?
Okay, so we have come to the end of the show, and thank you once again, both Laura and Meiram. We really appreciate you being here, sharing with us and our audience. We hope all the best in your entrepreneurship journey. And I think, like Dr. Heng say, don't just think Central Asia, think Southeast Asia as well. Since you got friends here, and yes, I think trans-border businesses are the best in that sense. All right, so we wish you all the best. We hope to see you maybe some other time in the future. And yes, to all audience, thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. And for those our Muslim friends, selamat berbuka puasa. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.